And welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here as always by a man who just picked off Matt Ryan. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing great. That was not a very fun end to Sunday Night Football, I gotta say.
It was kind of fun.
It was like watching that was like watching an
Oh.
old man get beaten up, wasn't it? Like you just like
I think it was literally at times seeing an old man getting beaten up with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you don't feel bad enough to go in and help, but you're like kind of just watching in horror kind of thing.
It was amazing because somehow this game, it was 19-21 in the fourth quarter, Kyle. This final score was 54-19. The Cowboys outscored the Colts 33-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, everyone's going to look at this and say, wow, what a dominant performance. It really wasn't that dominant until the very end. That being said, one of the things we've talked about, like the best version of the Cowboys, as we saw at the end of this game, is one of the most impressive teams in the NFL this season. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Are the Cowboys the Bills of the NFC? When they're on, they just look so unstoppable, but they're just not always on.
I mean, I think to an extent, because it's really like, I don't know. I've been kind of circling. I think this team's a lot like the Rams team last season, or like the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. I think this team is built to win in spite of Dak Prescott. But if Dak Prescott goes on a heater similar to Stafford or Flacco, this team can definitely win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, they're in the conversation. Absolutely. I mean, this was such an odd game. I mean, I was ready to come on here and say, I felt the Cowboys were going to win this whole game, even when it got close. I still felt like the Cowboys were going to pull it out. But I was ready to come on here and say, should we be concerned about this game? And then the fourth quarter happened where I mean, at what point, if you're the Colts, do you just say, like, let's just go home. Let's just stop playing football. Let's just stop.
Just pack something up. I mean, I don't even know what you brought there, but you got to figure something else out besides just playing. It was almost a comedy of errors. It's like the Colts weren't allowed to pass the 50-yard line. It seemed like at one point it just got a little out of hand there. That's for sure. Because yeah, I mean, I didn't think for long stretches of this game Dallas played that well. I thought the defense earlier in the game struggled. I thought guys were getting beat on what didn't really look like complicated passing routes. And then, Dak Prescott made some bad throws, I thought, to start this game. And earlier in this game, then all of a sudden it's like all hell broke loose in the fourth quarter and they scored 33 points, open up the floodgates, dominate this game. All of a sudden, Dallas looks awesome.
Kyle, Dak, someone brought up in the chat, fraught with peril, Dak's numbers weren't even that good. Kyle, Dak had 170 yards in this game, and they still scored 54.
Yeah, he wasn't that good in this game. He really wasn't.
They just had 5.9 yards per play. Like how did they score 54 points? That has to be the lowest yards per play in a 54. I mean, that's a fine yards per play, but for a 54-point performance.
Yeah. That was such a bizarre game. Like, I don't even know what to take away from this. Like,
it really just took away. I really think nothing. I think this is just one of those games.
The Colts fumbled. The Colts lost the ball 5 times, and it felt like 4 of those were in succession. That's really what this game felt like, and all of a sudden it was over.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, poor Matt Ryan in a Colts uniform is not going to be so iconic.
Yeah. I mean, this has to be the end of the veteran quarterback thing here, right? Like, they can't do this again next year.
I think you're right. I think that they won't. I mean, there's typically a reason why some quarterbacks are available, right? Like, there's typically a reason why you can get a Matt Ryan.
Although he was decent last year, so that's the thing that was frustrating.
Yeah, he was.
Like, I mean, I think this was pretty widely thought as a good move. I thought the Phillip Rivers move worked out for them. They made the playoffs that year. Mm-hmm. I thought, even though it didn't work out, I thought the Carson Wentz trade was a smart trade at the time. But none of them have just worked out, it seems like. So, yeah, I mean, you can't go back to doing this again, so they have to change it.
I think so as well. Want to move on?
Yeah.
Let's talk the game of the week. What we were excited for heading in ended up living up to expectations. Does Joe Burrow own Patrick Mahomes? Goes up to 3-0 against this Chiefs team in what was, again, I mean, several takeaways. The Chiefs do seemingly, we kind of talked about how the Bengals matched up very nicely against the Chiefs last year, but now the Chiefs have kind of revamped their offense to beat what typically has worked against them. Chiefs put up 24, but you'll definitely take that as a defense, only giving up 24 to Patrick Mahomes. And then, one of the things you locked up the Chiefs heading into this week, you did not expect Jamar Chase to play. He didn't just play; he had 97 yards. I mean, he was maybe
Yeah.
the MVP of the game for the Bengals and victory here.
Yeah, they looked really good, and yeah, I mean, I think there has to be a conversation. Is just a matchup problem for Kansas City? Is this the team you're going to want to avoid in the playoffs? Because this team seems to have Kansas City's number a little bit. It wasn't even just the fact that they were able to shut out Kansas City in the fourth quarter to hold them to 24 points, come back and get this win. It seemed like that Joe Burrow was just unfazed by anything Steve Spagnuolo threw at them. Anytime he wanted to bring pressure, he said, okay, I'm just going to stand in the pocket and make a good throw, or he's going to tuck it and run, which he did 11 times for 46 yards. If they're going to sit back in coverage and try and take away these receivers, Zach Taylor's like, ooh, my specialty, Samaje Perine, up the middle, here we go. Let's get 4 or 5 yards out of this play. It seemed like whatever Kansas City tried to throw at this Cincinnati offense, Cincinnati had an answer for, and then the defense adjusted in the second half. And Kansas City seemed like it let this one slip away a little bit. It seemed like that they had the ball at one point up 24-17, had a chance to or 24-20, had a chance to kind of put it away, and they fumbled, and then Bengals go down and score.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all that. I think one thing too that was a big takeaway here is Travis Kelce, not that much of an impact in this one. That's kind of a big thing. We saw there was a key play where Kelce wasn't even on the field. He still had 56 yards. But EPA when targeting Travis Kelce ended up being negative 4.1 in this game. So usually he's a guy who can get double digits in some games in EPA in the positive direction. -4 points targeting Travis Kelce. I mean, that's a huge win.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good job by the Cincinnati defense for sure. I thought they did a really good job in this game. I thought they adjusted really well in the second half, and yeah, I mean, Kansas City just couldn't get it done, it seemed like. And Cincinnati is a very good football team. We were high on this team in the preseason. We had some questions earlier in the season after some missteps, and now it seems like they're fully back. It seems like they're back in that contender spot for us, right?
Yeah, Kyle. I mean, they're a game back from the 1 seed. I mean, they're you say they're a matchup problem. I think they're a matchup problem for everybody except for the Browns, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, and then not to mention, we're going to talk about it with the injuries for Baltimore. All of a sudden, that division's wide open for them to take, and they can make a run at this thing. They really could get back to the Super Bowl, I think.
Kyle, right now, gun to your head, who has a better chance? If I were to tell you either the Chiefs or the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl this year, who would you feel more comfortable saying?
I still think I'm going to lean Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think Kansas City is still going to get the 1 seed. That's my thing. I think they're going to beat the Broncos twice. I think they're going to beat the Texans. I think they're going to beat the Raiders. So that means even with the game in hand, like Cincinnati would have to run the table to catch Kansas City for the 1 seed. So that means everything's still going to go through Arrowhead in my mind through the playoffs. I think I like that, but I mean, Cincinnati's playmakers are better. There's no doubt about that, right? Like we saw them go head to head. Yeah, we saw them go head to head in this game, even without Joe Mixon. It's like, okay, I think Kansas City has done a nice job retooling this offense without Tyreek Hill, but it seems like they could have used Tyreek Hill definitely in this game. I think McKinnon and Pacheco are pretty nice pieces in that backfield, but they're not quite they're not impact guys, and they just don't really have that extra guy that feels like they need. Where, I mean, if Tyler Boyd catches that touchdown too, is this a rout? I mean, is this a double-digit win? He dropped that one right in the end zone.
Right. I mean, Kansas City was the better team in this one. Like this game should not have been a 3-point game. Like Kansas City looked better than a 3-point victory. Or excuse me, Cincinnati looked better than a 3-point. Yeah, sorry, said the wrong one. Yeah, Cincinnati was the better team in this one. They probably should have won by more than 3.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing was they went 3 of 7 in the red zone. It felt like they could have, and like I said, Boyd dropped the one. It felt like they had a few opportunities to really run up and, get a few more of these.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's go to another 1 score game among two playoff hopeful teams. Jets Vikings here ended up being a very good game. It didn't start off that way. We felt like this is could be a game that could be a little bit, looked like it was one-sided for a large part of it. But I have to say, Mike White, one of the better 0 touchdown, 2 interception performances you will see. I thought he played well in this one. Again, Jets largely outgained the Vikings in this one, 5.9 yards per play to just 4.3 yards per play for Minnesota. But at the end of the day, wasn't quite enough to beat the Vikings.
Yeah, they really did play well in the second half, didn't they? It felt like this game was there for them. I mean, I thought White played well. He had the one pick earlier. The second pick, he's throwing one up on fourth down towards the end zone. I can't really blame him for that. But I don't know, 5.9 yards per play for the Jets to 4.3 yards per play for the Vikings. I mean, the big thing is that, credit to the Vikings defense. They played well at the goal line in this game. So that's a plus. But red zone offense just continues to be a pain in the ass for some of these teams this season. I don't really know I'm assuming a lot of this has to do with this Fangio style defense that everyone's kind of copycatting. Is throwing all these coverages in the back of the end zone, making it really tough to score touchdowns down there. But it just seems like time and time again, we look at these close games against good teams, and one team ends up winning because the other one doesn't score in the red zone. Red zone scoring continues to be down. Red zone efficiency continues to be down, it seems like, throughout the league. And the Jets 1 for 6 in this game, unable to convert in the red zone. Even though they got there double the amount of times in Minnesota, Minnesota was 3 for 3 in the red zone. That was the difference.
Yeah, I mean that is, it's like what turnovers and red zone performance, like that can be such a difference maker.
Yeah. And I mean, the Jets had no problem moving on this Vikings defense in this game. Mike White was, outside of the pick, I thought pretty darn good in this game.
And
Garrett
even
Wilson
the pick was kind of, it wasn't a terrible play. Like it was, a tight pass and then it got batted up and intercepted, but it wasn't like a horrible play. It wasn't a Zach Wilson pick.
Exactly. And then Garrett Wilson, continues to have monster numbers this season.
Incredible.
Corey Davis came up with the big game. All of these guys, it's, Zonovan Knight was this other guy they added, and he's been a monster in the backfield too. It's just like everything, it seemed like worked fine with this Jets offense. They just didn't finish drives, and that killed them in this one. So tough loss. I still feel pretty good about the Jets being that last playoff team. I think they look good in this game, and I think they showed enough to prove to me that they can get that last playoff spot. The Vikings continue to look unconvincing as the number 2 seed, and maybe it's going to take I don't know. Does this feel like last year's Tennessee, where it's just like we're just waiting to bet against them in the playoffs?
A little bit. I think that they're a little bit more complete on offense than Tennessee was. Tennessee did feel very Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. It was Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown. Like, that's the Titans' offense. Whereas the Vikings at least do have some role players, some contributors, like even like a KJ Osborne. Like, I don't know if he's come in and been a good fourth option for them. TJ Hawkinson, obviously, and then Adam Thielen. And, of course, to have Justin Jefferson, who that goes without saying. I think that those guys are. I still feel like because of that, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic. But the difference is the Vikings defense is nowhere near what that Titans defense was last year. I mean, this Vikings defense, it's opportunistic. It plays well when it has to. Then you got to give it credit for that. But it's been very inconsistent, and it just feels like this Vikings team is going to have a bad game in the playoffs.
It definitely feels like it, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. They've had their moments this season, so I still kind of like them, but yeah, I agree. They're just not convincing at times to me. I didn't think they played that well in this game. I really didn't. They had a big second quarter that really swung the momentum in their favor. And then Kirk Cousins was below the Gabbard zone in this game. Somehow has a QBR of 75.8 besides 4.9 yards per attempt, which makes no sense. I didn't think it was a very awesome game for this offense. I thought the defense really had some troubles in this game, but they got stops in the red zone, and that was really the difference.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins just barely in positive EPA, 0.02 positive EPA per play. So he wasn't anything special there. But again, I did think that Justin Jefferson, I was shocked to find out that he had as little yards as he had. I closed out the tab. I think it was like 45 yards or something like that. Yeah. I would have thought he had like 90 or something. It felt like every time he caught the ball, it was in a big spot.
Yeah, it's like every catch he made was impactful, right? Only
Yeah.
seven catches, but all of them had an impact.
Right, exactly. Let's move on. Why don't we? Let's go to where do we want to go here? Let's go to a tie, why don't we? How about Balls Giants? Of course these teams tied, Kyle.
That felt right, didn't it? Like if you were
It
to
did.
pick two teams that were going to tie this season, it was going to be the
Mhm.
Balls and the Giants for sure. Two teams that
Yes.
like we don't think these teams are very good, but
Not
they
terrible
somehow
either.
are in this spot. It was bizarre. Taylor Heineke with the huge fourth quarter comeback to tie this game up, and then it was just kind of lifeless in the extra period. It didn't seem like anything really happened there. Um, very bizarre game. Very bizarre game. Uh, I don't even know what to take away from it. It was weird because every team had basically gone into the Giants game the last few weeks and said Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are not running in this game. And Washington was completely content with letting them run in this game. It was so bizarre
Mhm.
for the first three quarters to watch them just run, run, and run, go up. I mean, they were up what 20-13 at the end of the game, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's stop letting them run this time.
Yeah, it was odd, the way their game plan. And also, Washington, there's lots to like. The defense has been very good. It's just amazing how much this team is Terry McLaurin. That's their
Right.
name. They should be the Washington Terry McLaurins because that's what they are.
Just don't ask them to build a statue for him or anything, because we'll go through three attempts on that. Yeah, I mean, it really was McLaurin or bust. Curtis Samuel did have some big catches at the end of that one. I think Jahan Dotson had a
Mhm.
big play at the end too. Like,
Sure.
I mean, yeah, this offense is really all about those guys. I think Brian Robinson's starting to come on, but
Mhm.
he's not making as much of an impact as he needs, basically, or as they need him. And I mean, they got a tier 4 quarterback playing football for them. So, of course, it's not going to be that awesome an offense. But yeah, I mean, when you have a great receiver, it makes everything look a little bit better.
Yeah. I feel like I think Robinson's done everything they could have asked for. I don't think that he's I'm fine with that. But as Joe in the chat said, my Giants are decent, but a year away. We need receivers. Yeah, it really does feel like these teams are very. I mean, the Giants need a lot. I don't know. I feel like the Giants could probably use if there's a good player in the draft at any position, they should probably draft him, right?
The Giants?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say
just
so.
not left tackle.
I think they're well coached. I think
Uh
they're
huh.
well coached. I
Yeah,
think
and
they could.
again, it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I still think they could use a handful of upgrades. I wouldn't be upset if they upgraded quarterback. They definitely need to upgrade receiver, tight end. Uh, and then, yeah, I mean, I still think, you could plug in a lot of guys on the offensive line and defensive side of the ball, but I think they're well coached, and I think that's changed a lot of the foundation.
Yeah, Joe also brings up not running back. Yeah, that's true. They have a couple spots, I guess. I guess that's fair. Kyle, I've been hoping for it. Could now if this tie is a little bit, the Colts aren't going 8-1 at this point. Texans aren't going 8-1. Could one of these teams be the 8-1 team that I'm hoping one day happens?
All right, so you're saying which team's likely to go 1-4 to end the season, 1-3?
Well, what the Washington would have to go 2-3, and
Yes.
then the Giants would have to go two and
No, they each
two
have
and
7
four.
wins, so they
Oh,
only
right,
need to
I'm
win.
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I could see the Giants going 1-4.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that's fair. Kyle, I feel like both these teams deserve to lose. Give them both a loss.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, ties in America are really loser mentality, anyways, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. Just give them both a
They
loss,
both
anyways.
teams felt like they lost. Neither team was
Yeah,
like, okay, at least tied. That's fine. Both teams are upset.
but how important now? Because I mean, the Giants play what the Eagles next week, so there's a chance that these teams are now both 7-5-1, heading into their next matchup with Washington on a bye, Giants playing
Hmm.
the Eagles. I mean, this is becoming that's the game of the week, right? Like everyone should watch that after this.
Yeah, maybe it'll tie again.
That would be funny.
That would be incredible if that happens. Please let that happen.
Yeah, they both end up like 7-8-2.
Right, Kyle. Who's gonna end up with a better record this season? Giants or Balls?
I'm still riding the balls. Still riding the balls. Uh, I
Yeah.
still think that there's winnable games on their schedule. I think they can get maybe one more win over New York and get in.
Yeah, I think I will. I think it really does come down to that game in 2 weeks. I think that'll probably end up being the difference maker. Should be interesting. Let's move on. Let's go to let's go here. Why don't we? I, for one, welcome our new Brock Purdy overlord as the San Francisco 49ers. You know, Kyle, I went to go take my dog for a walk right when the 4 o'clock games happened. And it was right when the Jimmy Garoppolo, the injury happened. And I said, I was the whole walk, I was thinking, oh man, this is, what a blow for the 49ers. They're out of it now. No real chance of them having, doing anything. And I think I go back, I check the score, and all of a sudden the 49ers were winning, and then never looked back. I mean, this was not the way I thought this game was going to go whatsoever. I thought this was, going to be the end of the San Francisco 49ers. They didn't miss a beat in this one.
No, they look pretty good. Brock Purdy, long time at Iowa State. It felt like he was there for like 8 years. Gets his chance now in the NFL. Looked pretty good. Looked pretty poised back there. Did not look afraid of the moment for sure. He made some mistakes. Don't get me wrong. But he did not look afraid of the moment whatsoever. And you know what? Football's a little easier when you have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. And, George Kittle also blocking and doing a little bit of everything. So I think all that made it a little bit easier for him. We'll see. There's going to be some film out on him this week. We'll see how teams adjust to this offense going forward. I don't know what to think of it yet, but he looked decent in his, being thrown into the fire there.
Yeah, I mean, the way you have to talk about Brock Purdy is the situation he was thrown into and the way he was able to perform was fantastic. I think he was amazing. It's actually kind of funny looking at the EPA for this one. Jimmy Garoppolo had 5 plays. Purdy had 44. And despite that, Garoppolo had half the total EPA as Purdy did in this one. But I thought that given the situation he came in, he made some nice plays. I have some nitpicks of him. Like you said, there's some mistakes. He clearly is a young player, but I don't know. For a third string quarterback, way better than you would hope for. I do feel like I would much rather have Garoppolo out there though.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, so they really just need to win 1 or 2 more games. Though is the thing. Can he get 1 or 2 more wins? Because that's the big thing to get this team in the playoffs and see what happens.
But that's not the goal, right? The goal wasn't a playoff spot for this team.
Yeah,
the goal
that's
was
the problem.
Super Bowl.
When you lose 2 quarterbacks, I don't know if the Super Bowl is realistic. Is it?
I mean, I'm sure that they're still saying we have a chance. I'm sure that they're not saying, well, let's just pack it up. I mean, I don't know. They got to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, right? It's not out of the question with a weak NFC, but it definitely feels a lot more difficult because of Purdy there.
I definitely would say it's a lot more difficult. I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe this guy's actually this good. If he's this good, which isn't even great, but just solid enough, then yeah, I still think they have a chance to make the Super Bowl. But I don't know. I don't know if you can. I'm not betting on losing 2 quarterbacks and saying you're a Super Bowl contender. I think they're a very good football team. They won 5 games in a row, but I think I have to reset my calibration of what San Francisco is going forward, which is going to be still a really good football team, but probably not a team I'm picking to make the Super Bowl right now.
Well, let me ask you, are the Dolphins a Super Bowl contender?
I don't know, man, because we praised Brock Purdy there a little bit, but is this a good thing from Brock Purdy and this 49ers offense and Kyle Shanahan? Or is this an indictment on a Dolphins defense we said had been kind of underwhelming this season?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think because, I think the argument if you're a 49ers fan would say, well, we just beat a team that many consider a Super Bowl contender. But I think you're right. I think, Tua had a couple interceptions this one. I didn't think Tua was a mess, but he did not have his best day, no doubt about it. And
I didn't think he was good.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, his numbers are not good. He made some plays, but I think that's fair. But this is the situation where if Tua has a bad day, this team loses the football game. This team cannot win with Tua playing poorly, and that's scary. If you need Tua to play well Tua's played well this season, but now he has to go into the playoffs and win and play well for 4 straight games. Maybe he has it in him, but I don't know. Again, especially when. I don't know. In college, it's not like he was known for being a big game quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Except for that one game.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see because it's going to be interesting to see how Do you believe he could outperform Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow in the playoffs?
Right. That's just what's tough. Although again, it's not necessarily he that has to, right? It is a team sport, and he has plenty of talent around him.
But that's the problem. It's like Teron Armstead goes out, and all of a sudden it seems like he's not comfortable back there. He
Yeah.
looked very uncomfortable basically from the first hit.
And we talked about this, right? This is something we previewed. It's like, will the pressure,
Yeah.
he doesn't perform well under pressure, will this hurt him? And it did.
Yeah, and facing those three teams potentially in the playoffs, because the Dolphins now, if you're viewing the Dolphins as a Super Bowl contender, you basically say how are they getting through at least one of those three teams, if not two, right? Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City have made themselves for the benchmark of how to beat, how to win the AFC. So if he, those three teams all have pretty good defensive lines, or at least Chris Jones, which is helps.
Hmm.
So I think he has to be able to stand comfortable in the pocket against those teams, look comfortable, and throw the ball downfield. Because when he was able to do that, he hit big plays and hit big touchdowns. He was pretty bad the rest of the time outside of basically two or three big throws. He really was. He was missing guys. He was behind guys. It seemed like even some of his completions looked shaky because they were behind the receivers that he was targeting. I didn't think it was his best game at all, and it feel like it let him down. His defense also let him down, giving up 33 points to a third-string quarterback.
Yeah. Tough one for the Dolphins. I still think, I don't know. I want to see the 49ers. I want to see more Brock Purdy. Never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get the opportunity here. We'll see what happens. They signed Josh Johnson, too.
There you go. Kyle, I always think about this thing. If you're the 49ers, maybe, I don't know, why not give Phil Rivers a call?
See if he wants to. Drew
Yeah, just see what
Brees?
he's up to. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, Drew
I
Brees,
mean,
sure.
if Drew Brees is back from that lightning strike, maybe. We'll see.
I would just feel like with these teams, like why not just give one of those like veteran quarterbacks who just retired a call? Phil Rivers is good as last year. Like I don't know, there's hope.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. I don't think he'd play, but, I'd be all for it.
This would be the perfect time too. You have enough time to get them to learn the playbook.
Yeah. Is that your pick, Phillip Rivers?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'd be the guy, right? I can't think of anyone better.
Yeah. I would say Brees is the only other one if he would do it.
But he didn't play great his last year. Like that's what like Rivers was definitely better than Breeze their last season.
Yeah, that's fair. So, plus, like
Okay,
I
well,
said, he's recovering from a lightning strike.
is he? Wait, so is that? I glossed over that the first time. What happened?
There was a promo from some betting company
Oh,
that
I see.
Drew Brees got struck by lightning was the promo, and they didn't
Okay.
confirm if it was real or not. And then all of a sudden, like Drew Brees popped up in an ambulance in the next video, saying that he's psyched because this company does lightning bets or something like that. It was bizarre.
Okay, well, interesting. Everyone, check out that commercial if you're interested. Let's move on. Why don't we from that one? Let's go to Broncos Ravens. A lot to talk about with this game. Uh, you know, things are going so poorly for the Broncos they can't even complete a fourth quarter comeback against the Ravens. Just going to show how rough things are. If you're getting outscored in the fourth quarter against the Ravens, that's tough. Um,
Huh,
it felt like, okay, I don't know. So many ways. I mean, the story is Lamar Jackson's injury, and it seems like it's
yeah.
not maybe necessarily season ending. So seems like the hope for the Ravens is if you can just do enough with Tyler Huntley to survive, hopefully you get into the playoffs and then Lamar is back. That's the hope.
Yeah, and there's winnable games on the schedule. They just have to tread water, basically.
Hmm.
And the good news is Huntley's been in this spot. He was in this
Yeah.
spot last season. He played, I thought, pretty decent football last year. You just need him to be able to survive a little bit. The thing is like, I don't know, like, this was another uninspiring Ravens performance. I know Jackson wasn't out there, but who are you trusting on this Ravens offense to really step up? Who are you trusting besides Mark Andrews to make big plays for this team right now? That's the thing I'm worried about going forward, not so much Tyler Huntley. I think he can come in and definitely game manage the situation. It just doesn't seem like this Ravens team has a bunch of playmakers right now. And I don't know if that gets better. But
Yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I think he's
Oh.
capable of treading water until Lamar comes back.
Right. No, I mean, it's interesting because we both expressed some concerns about this Ravens team. You more so than I think. But the one thing we both agreed on is that Lamar Jackson is definitely the guy of this. He's the straw that stirs the drink, and he's why the Ravens are able to win games is largely because of the talent of Lamar. When he's not out there, it is concerning. It is a real issue. And while they do have some winnable games, like you said, I don't know. I mean, they're playing Pittsburgh, who twice down the stretch, which like Pittsburgh's playing good football. Like that doesn't without Lamar, that doesn't feel like a clear Ravens win to me. Like Atlanta, okay, you should win that game. The Browns, you should win that game. But it's like those are games that you felt like were very winnable are now not. And I don't know. I don't think it's crazy to think that this Ravens team could fall out of the playoffs.
I don't think it's crazy either. I still think there's a good enough infrastructure here to say that they get a couple of these. I think they've stacked up enough wins to make it happen, but we'll see. I don't know. This team really could crater because I don't love this offense right now. Even with Lamar Jackson in the lineup, I don't think this offense is that good. They don't have enough healthy bodies in the backfield. Kenyon Drake and Gus Edwards aren't the answer at running back. And just the guys that they've wanted for pass catchers haven't really stepped up and been the guys.
Disrespect to Gus Edwards.
Sorry, man. But yeah, there's just not enough playmakers on this team. So
Career over 5 yards per carry, Gus Edwards. The Gus bust himself.
He ended up with 6 carries for 12 yards in this game.
No, career over 5 yards per carry.
Oh well, good for him, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not enough playmakers on this team. This defense is going to have to get a lot better if they want to win make the playoffs. But they only need 1 or 2 wins.
Yeah, 2 wins should be enough. So I think they'll probably still get in. I think you're right. It's a tough spot for them to be in at this point. I mean, and I guess I'll throw this out there. I think it's something we have to talk about. What constantly gets talked about with Lamar is why a lot of people don't love having running quarterbacks. Is you take hits, you're more likely to get injured. This is 2 seasons in a row now where the season's kind of gotten derailed due to a Lamar Jackson injury. It feels like that's probably going to cost him some money this offseason.
It might. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how that's all going to play out. I still think he gets paid, but
he's getting paid. But I'm just saying it.
It's definitely going to cause some questions, right?
It.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's going to be a different. Will we ever see someone in like play like we saw these early 2000 quarterbacks play for so long. Are we ever going to see that again, you think?
I think so. I think it's possible. I mean, I don't know. Why not? I guess because they take more hits?
Yeah, that would be the theory, right? Like even, he hasn't, Mahomes has been knocked around a little bit. I mean, outside of basically a torn ACL, Brady has been mostly kept pretty clean. I guess, there was that thing about he played with a torn MCL that Buck season that they won the Super Bowl or whatever. But yeah, right. I mean, he's mostly stayed pretty clean. So, I just think that these guys do take a lot of hits, and it's it's something to be a cause for concern, I think.
Yeah. I think Cousins could play well.
Cousins, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, I think
he's going to end up like 3rd in the NFL in passing yards, like history-wise, at one point. And we're going to be like, this guy's definitely not a Hall of Famer.
I can't wait for is Kirk Cousins a Hall of Famer conversation. That's going to be good.
Yeah. Someone's going to start pushing it.
Hey, the Matt Stafford thing happened. I mean, it's not that crazy for it happened with Cousins.
Yeah. He needs a Super Bowl, I guess. That's what he needs.
Super Bowl. That would be. Hey, maybe this year. Who knows? Let's move on. Why don't we? There's still some interesting games. How about let's go to the Raiders beating the Chargers. They're not dead yet, Kyle.
They're not dead yet. Back from the dead. The Raiders are back. Devontae Adams is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Devontae Adams is worth every penny that he was traded for, worth every penny that he acquired in his contract. Basically, any money in the world you could throw at Devontae Adams, you should give to him if you're a Raiders fan. This was a fantastic game. The defense looked a lot better with the return of Nate Hobbs. I thought that they played pretty well in this game. I mean, Herbert was still amazing, and Justin Herbert, but they did just enough to be able to get some stops in this game, forced a turnover in that fumble, and this was a fun game, just as we expected with these two teams.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and you also factor in, 20 37-20, but there was a pick six in this game. There was also a fumble that gave the Chargers the ball in good field position. And there was a crazy 4th down and 12, like 50-yard touchdown to Keenan Allen in this game. I mean, the Chargers basically had like those 3 plays. Like if without that, this is a wire-to-wire blowout.
Yeah. I mean, the 2 times they played the Chargers, they've had a massive amount of turnover unluckiness. And they lost the first one by 5 and they won this one by 7. So, I mean, the data would kind of tell you that the Raiders are the better team, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders are interesting, right? Because they feel like they're a team that should be a playoff contender. They feel like they're that good that they should be in the playoff. But like, I don't know, you're 5-7. You have 5 games left, and I'm looking at their schedule. You play the Rams, the Patriots, the Steelers. 3 winnable games, right? Not, Patriots and Steelers could go the other way, but they're winnable. You then play the 49ers. Could be Brock Purdy 49ers. That could end up being an easier game than expected. And the Chiefs, last game of the season, maybe they'll have maybe they'll be resting starters at that point. It's not out of the question they could go 4-1 or 5-0 down the stretch. If they go 5-0, 10-7 probably gets them in. So as crazy as it seems, like this team is not dead yet.
They're pretty good. I think the problem, they have maybe 1 loss that they can buffer, right? Otherwise, other than that, they can't lose 2. Right. They can't lose 2 for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that 9-8 at this point can make the playoffs with the Patriots at 6-6, the Chargers at 6-6 battling for that last playoff spot. The Browns are right there with them at 5-7, and the Steelers are right there with them at 5-7. But if you were to power rank those teams right now, are the Raiders first of those 5 teams?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, but again, this kind of depends on will the Ravens bomb out, right? Because if they do, then you have that 3rd spot opened up. But as of now, Dolphins, Jets, and Ravens, if those teams just take care of business, there might not be anything the Raiders can do.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Jets could still bottom out too, right? Like I think that's a good football team, but I wouldn't be shocked Dolphins if they slip a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot that can happen. It's just win, baby, right? That's the mantra.
Yeah.
That's all you got to focus on is winning your football games. See what happens. But I do think they get in at 10-7, 9-8 potentially.
Kyle, are the Chargers dead?
They can't be called dead yet, but they feel just about it every time I watch them, right? Every time we start to buy in, they go and just say, yeah, forget about it. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the run at all. I know Josh Jacobs had an incredible year. I think he leads the league in rushing now, doesn't he?
I would assume so. I don't know off the top of my head, but he would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, they did that. They couldn't stop the run anyway, and then they also couldn't stop Devontae Adams. If you can't stop anything, what are you good for? This defense has some splashy names, and I think they make some big time plays, but defense is largely a weak link sport. And it seems like the weak links of this Chargers defense gets targeted all the time. And every time they're targeted, it's a big negative play for this defense. It just doesn't seem like there's enough firepower there. And then, I know Herbert has been dealing with some receiver issues. He's been terrific. I thought he was really good again in this game for the most part, but just not enough people around him really to help him out.
Yeah. Nathan Peterman in the chat says Chargers schedule left is doable. It is. Play Dolphins and Titans next 2 weeks. Those are tough. But if you can get a win there, go to 7-7. You finish Colts, Rams, and Broncos. Right. That would be 10-7. That probably gets you. That most likely gets you in. So even though I think you're right. I think that definitely still very much alive here.
Yeah, they're still alive, but I don't love this team. I think this is another team that if they make the playoffs, I'm betting against them.
Yeah, I think we're aware.
Yeah, not my most docile opinion that I don't like this Chargers team.
Yes. Let's go to Browns Texans. This was an odd game. The return of Deshaun.
Suck.
Yeah, they're very bad. They're a very bad football team. Kyle, so this is I have to talk about myself for a second. This is a weird situation. I think I teased on the preview show that I was going to make a video on Deshaun Watson, regardless of how regardless of what happened, just because I was interested in that. So I was going to make the breakdown. I'd make a video saying he played poorly because he did. Tons of comments getting mad at me for talking about how he played poorly. So I did not expect the Deshaun Watson fans to be mad at me.
were they all Adam Schefter burner accounts talking about? Did you see all the progress he made? Did you see the progress that everyone was talking about?
I don't know. I don't know about any of that. All I know, well, people were saying, of course, you played poorly. He was rusty. Sure, yeah, that's probably it. I wasn't trying to say. All I was just saying was that he was played poorly. I did not expect this to become. I thought that went without saying.
Yeah, that is bizarre. I mean, he was not good in this game. Obviously, you should expect some rust, but he was still bad. You could say he was still bad. It's okay to say that.
Yeah, I mean, he was legitimately awful. I mean, like the
Yeah,
Browns' offense was legitimately terrible. Okay, whatever excuse you want to make, and I think that's fair. I think the rust absolutely had a factor. I'm not trying to argue against that. I'm just saying that this was a legitimately terrible performance by Deshaun Watson and by the Browns offense. And if you're looking at the final score, you might say, "Hey, they scored 27. 3 touchdowns came nothing to do with the offense. They scored 6 in this game."
yeah, yeah. This was a. It was a bad performance for this Cleveland offense. Obviously, we're going to give it a few more weeks before we judge it a little more harshly, but week one was not promising. The good news is that the Texans' offense was much worse. Like, I know I joked about this last week, and I don't think a real college football team would beat the Texans. That's preposterous. I think there'd be college offenses right now that could jump into the NFL and be better than this Texans offense. I really do. This is a horrible group. Kyle Allen has proven for 2 weeks in a row that not only is he a bad quarterback, he might be one of the worst quarterbacks we've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, this is his second year with a single-digit QBR, second week in a row with a single-digit QBR. There's just nobody on this team when Brandon Cooks doesn't play. It's embarrassing. It's legitimately embarrassing watching this team play football. I mean, the other team was basically gifting them a win because they had played a quarterback who hadn't thrown a football on an NFL team in 2 years. They're gifting them a win, and all you could do is give the ball to the other football team. That's all you could do all game. I would take USC's offense that just got curb stomped by Utah last Friday night. I would put them over this Texans team right now. This is embarrassing. Get this team out of here.
Kyle, if the Texans gave up if they only gave up 1 touchdown on offense or special teams, as in turnover for a touchdown or special teams touchdown, if they gave up just 1, they would have, and everything else was the same, they would have won this football game. And it was a blowout loss.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Kyle,
know.
let's play this. Kyle Allen, I have the EPA page up. Let's play guess the total EPA in this game for Kyle
Allen. -12.
-27.5 for Kyle Allen. I don't think I've ever seen it that low in my life.
Oh my God. I mean, he's setting a bar. I mean, like we may have to change the Nathan Peterman to the Kyle Allen, honestly. Because this is horrific.
How bad is Davis Mills in practice?
I mean, I don't know. If you added the QBR he had for his first 2 games this season, Kyle Allen's total QBR from the first 2 games, just adding it up. This isn't right math. His QBR would be 7.
I mean, Kyle Allen used to always be the guy I would use with my replacement level quarterback of like just pick, as like a throwaway. Is he not good enough for that?
Probably not anymore, or at least not in this Texans offense. They really should just start auctioning off this position. Just be like, hey, you want to play quarterback for a day? Bid $100,000. You could play quarterback for the Texans this Sunday. But you'd have to you'd have to sign like an insurance waiver because you're gonna die. But
right,
could be the memories though, right?
Yeah, I think what would you do in that spot? Just throw the ball away a lot of quick throws.
Audible to handoff every play.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would still be afraid that I wouldn't get it off in time.
What was it? What was the Judge thing last year? Just run QB sneaks up the middle.
Yeah, I think that's it. Hey, Dameon Pierce is good.
Yeah,
hard to play well when they're stacking the box against you. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a solid little ball player. He's going to do some good things over there. He needs about 10 new starters, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure they got some guys on the offensive line who are all right.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so fine. 9 new starters. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, they're a tough spot.
Yeah,
Well,
that
not
is
so much. I mean, at least you get a high draft pick.
that is it's just a horrifically bad football team. I can't believe this is a real NFL team.
It's
I don't think I've
amazing
ever
how
remembered.
bad they were.
I don't know if I've ever remembered a football team this bad. Like this has to go back to the O for Lions, right?
The 0-16 Browns, I would take to beat this Texans team.
I think I would too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're in a tough spot.
So, very bizarre. I didn't. We were all Texans fans today, and we all left very disappointed in this team.
Yeah, poor Texans were like, no, don't watch our team. What are you doing?
Yeah. Uh, good luck, Bryce Young. Rooting for you, bud.
Yeah. Let's talk about a different team. Let's go to Packers Bears. I was so ready, Kyle. I was so ready for Justin Fields to beat the Packers. I already had the title for my new video of going to say a new owner. It would have been perfect. Would have gotten so much Bears fans to click on it. Not so fast. Aaron Rodgers does what he does in the fourth quarter, beating the Chicago Bears. Fields still had a big run in this, but it was weird. They took the ball out of Fields' hands in the second half, which is like, that's when you use Fields, is because of his ability. I thought
Yeah.
Fields had the interception late, which was costly in this one. As a whole, I still thought Fields played well in this game, but it was not enough.
I thought he played pretty well. The problem is like right now he is a good game script quarterback, right? When they are able
No,
to,
I think he's the opposite. I think all he does. Fields is the best when plays break down.
well, he can scramble and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is that when this team falls behind, he's forced to throw the ball downfield. We saw two bad throws. Like they
Sure.
basically they weren't threatening downfield at all. They wanted to throw the ball short. They wanted him to go underneath. They wanted him to use commit and all this stuff underneath and do that kind of stuff. That worked. But then all of a sudden they needed him to make 5 big throws down the field at the end of the game to come back, and he just couldn't make them. That last one that was the out to the outside, that was the last interception. He stared the guy down for way too long, threw the ball way too late, and all of a sudden the corner jumped around and the game was over. I just like
Yeah, but he was. I
he's
mean, they were down 2 scores at that point. You're trying to make something happen.
yeah, I can't fault him too much because he was good in this game, but I thought there was some mistakes at the end of the game. We'll see how he adjusts to that going forward, but you got to find some verticality, I think, to this offense that isn't just hoping N'Keal Harry catches the ball downfield, which was a heck of a catch, by the way.
Yeah, N'Keal Harry. How about that? I think that I don't know. I was actually very optimistic about the start of this game for the Bears. I
Yeah,
thought we finally saw. To me, I kept saying it's not Lamar Jackson. The comparisons are not valid. It's not fair. I mean, Justin Fields, we keep talking about how his passing game is not there. He had over 10 yards per attempt in this game. I mean,
yeah.
the fact that the Packers came in and said, we're going to play zone, and they were able to game plan against that. This is the first time I looked at it and said, that kind of reminds me of Lamar Jackson's rookie year with the Ravens. Like I saw that, which I had not seen before.
Yeah. They look good to start this game. I thought they had a real chance to win, and it just seemed like the Packers kind of wore them out a little bit, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was a weird, again, another lopsided fourth quarter. The Packers ended up with 18-0 in the fourth quarter against the Bears. There was a point where there was a 4th down and 8, and Rodgers went deep, threw a deep shot to Randall Cobb. It was incomplete, but I was like, I've seen that before. 4th down and 8, deep shot to Randall Cobb in Soldier Field. But no, I mean, this wasn't an amazing game by Rodgers or anything like that. But I think really the Christian Watson thing is just becoming a bigger and bigger story. Another 2 touchdowns in this one.
Yeah, he was really good. AJ Dillon had a nice game with Aaron Jones battling injuries. And the second half, I thought the Packers defense started to play pretty well. Jair Alexander came up with a big play. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a big play for the Packers down the stretch to get this win and come back. And it would have been embarrassing if they lost to the Bears, right? Like after all the stuff last season, the I own you stuff, all that, to come in and lose this one all of a sudden, yeah, that would have been bizarre. But yeah, they ended up kind of chipping away at the lead and then hitting those big plays with Watson.
Yeah, you know those like college football teams where it's like if you go 1-10 but you beat your rival, you have a good season kind of thing. Kind of feels
Yeah.
a little bit like that this season with the Packers and Bears. It's like whoever wins this game really, that's the goal.
Feels a little better about their season.
Uh huh.
I still think the Packers feel a little bit of a letdown.
Well, sure, yeah, but I mean, like at this point, like you can't lose to the Bears. Like the Packers, like are they're sitting here saying like, we can't lose this game.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was a fun rivalry situation.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I'm excited for these two teams next year. I really think the Packers bounce
Hmm.
back a little bit. I think we're starting to see the glimpses of what they wanted this team to be. And with a better Watson, who's now Watson's becoming the real deal to me. I think he looks terrific. I think he's a big playing machine. And if they're able to do this, I think a little bit next season, get some guys healthy, find a new defensive coordinator, do all that kind of stuff, I think this is going to be a pretty good team next season. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's totally possible. Let's move on. Let's talk Steelers Falcons. Why don't we? As this game ended up being close, I saw that Minka Fitzpatrick said to all you fantasy owners that I disappointed. I don't care, or something like that after the game, as he kind of ran out at the 3 yard line instead of getting to pick six there. Falcons continue to reel here as a team that felt like they had playoff aspirations. Have really, Drake London had a good game, but other than that, this was definitely a disappointment as I don't know, Kenny Pickett led Steelers are
Yeah.
able to get another victory.
Yeah, I mean, this Falcons team had momentum and they still run the ball pretty well. The problem is that, I mean, how many teams in the NFL today are really going to win football games completing 13 passes for 167 yards? Like,
Yeah, the Jets.
yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
It's not going to happen consistently. And it felt a little, I think we talked ourselves into it, but it feels just too gimmicky right now, right? Like, it just feels like it's run its course. I think they need to find a new way to kind of, stretch the field with this offense, be able to create some big plays in the passing game, and string together some completions. And it's just not what their bread and butter is. They weren't able to do it in this game. Pittsburgh played well. I thought Kenny Pickett was solid once again. Najee Harris put together a pretty nice day. Pretty good game overall for the Steelers, I think.
Yeah. How do we not go to Desmond Ritter here? Like, how is Desmond Ritter still not playing?
I don't know what's happening in those practices, but what we've seen, like Mariota has fallen off a cliff over these last few weeks, right?
Uh
Like
huh.
he has not been very good the last few weeks. I definitely think he could have used some help.
Yeah, it seems like teams know how to play him at this point, and he's been figured out. And okay, he was a limited quarterback. Like that's why he's bounced around and been a backup. He's a solid backup, but I don't know. I mean, for maybe the Falcons at this, you're in a weird spot because like you've won 5 games at this point. You're not getting a great draft pick. So it's an optimistic season in some areas because you do get you have cap space at this point. You do have a coach that seemingly knows what they're doing, but there's some big talent issues, and the biggest one is the most important one, which is quarterback.
Yeah, I think that this should, even if this team finishes 5-11, this should be viewed as a successful season for the Falcons. I think they got some promising stuff here. I think you've proven that Arthur Smith might be a guy you can rely on as a coach. I think the problem is that right now this offense is too gimmicky and they don't have a quarterback that can adjust. They're playing what they can because this is their quarterback strengths.
Kyle, the Steelers are also not dead yet. The Steelers are sitting here. They are 5-7. This is a team. Again, you can't officially count them out just yet.
Yeah, I mean, slick Kenny Pickett is making some plays here, man.
Yeah,
He's making things happen.
I've been
All
really
of a
impressed with
sudden,
him this season. Like,
yeah,
we weren't crazy about him, but he's surpassed my expectations.
I would say mine too. I didn't have him as a first round quarterback. So you
Hmm.
know, I think he's done some pretty good stuff this season. I think he's managed this team pretty well. And yeah, I mean, there's winnable. All of a sudden, you get the Ravens now without Lamar. You get the Panthers on the road. You could be 7-7 all of a sudden going in the last 3 weeks of the season and see what happens.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely possible that this team could go on a run. And like I said, their schedule is not that difficult, and they're the Steelers. Kyle, 500 is back on the menu.
500 is definitely back on the menu. They need a tie. They need a tie.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Raiders tie or something that third to last week of the season.
but is it crazy to think that like if they beat the Panthers, they would just have to beat they have the Raiders, the Ravens twice, the Raiders and the Browns. If this one go 2-2 in that stretch and beat the Panthers, that's or no, that wouldn't be enough. They'd have to go 4-1. But it's still
Yeah.
possible.
It is possible. I still think it's unlikely, but it is possible.
Yeah. All
They're
right. Well,
squeaking these
let's.
games out right now.
Yeah. Again, it's fun for the Steelers. Fun season. You didn't have much expectations, but those are sometimes the most fun seasons. Um, let's talk about Seahawks Rams. This was a fun game. I've got chippy in this one a little bit. Jalen Ramsey and Bobby Wagner were going wild in this one. I'm surprised they still care at this point. That was incredible that they were still trying even and they nearly pulled out the victory here. John Wolford isn't great, not a spectacular player. It looked a little better with him out there than earlier when they were on their third string. But at the end of the day, Seahawks were able to get the win. I think the question here is, Kyle, do we feel concerned at all that the Seahawks had to fight this hard for a team that we both were not very high on?
Yeah, I'm concerned about this defense. I think that they struggled in this game. I think some credit goes to Sean McVay in this one because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's dealing with spare parts basically at this point. Walford is not very good. Cam Akers did okay at the start, but kind of cooled off. I thought like Tutu Atwell came up with some really nice plays in this game and kind of, deploying him in different ways I thought was fun. But he really tried to scheme his way to a few touchdowns here and ended up making it work. And I thought it wasn't too bad, but he's trying to make this work with two hands tied behind his back, basically. But yeah, I'm a little concerned with the Seahawks defense after this performance again, when I thought they kind of struggled the last few weeks too. I don't really know how this group improves.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. The Seahawks offense actually played pretty well in this one. No Aaron Donald, that helps. As Neil points out in the chat, Wagner has definitely been a highlight of a lackluster Rams season. Absolutely true. Bobby Wagner's, they made some moves this offseason. He's been an absolute stud for them. But
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, that 1-2 combo is very good. Obviously, that's kind of what won the Seahawks the game in this one. But I agree with you. It's like you don't want to make this Rams putrid offense look competent, and they look competent in this game. And the Seahawks are in a situation where they made the Buccaneers offense look solid. I mean, they made a lot of offenses that play against them look solid. The Raiders put up 40 against them, took overtime, but still, you got the Panthers next week. That'll be in Seattle. You should be okay there. But you got like the Niners, the Chiefs, and the Jets, and then to end the season against the Rams once again. I don't know, Kyle. I don't know if this team's going to make the playoffs. I just don't.
I don't know either at this point. The good news is that they have Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf, who were incredible in this game.
Right.
The
Yep.
three-headed monster of the Seattle offense. I thought they got a lot of stuff done against a good Rams defense. Even without Aaron Donald, I think this is a pretty good Rams defense. It wasn't like they just ran right at where he was or anything. Not that he's the best run defender or anything like that, but they made some things happen in this game. They went downfield. They attacked guys like Jalen Ramsey, like on that game-winning touchdown. Weren't afraid to go at them with these guys. These are elite football players, and that's going to help them.
Yeah. Also, Kenneth Walker went out in this game. I haven't seen any updates, and it was an ankle injury, so that's concerning as well. But, again, at the end of the day, as much as we're sitting here and saying it's concerning, they're playing a division rival, a team that, did win the Super Bowl last year. I know that this season has not been good, and you still found a way to get the win. If in your bad games you're getting the win, it's not a big deal. You got the win, you survived. Just don't let this happen again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's the thing, though. Their game's still behind San Francisco now. They got the Panthers next week. They should be favored to win that one.
Mm-hmm.
They got then San Francisco on a Thursday night, which against the Brock Purdy probably.
Right.
All of a sudden, they could be, all square with San Francisco at that point, or a game ahead.
That's a good point. I sort of didn't think about the division aspect of if Brock Purdy, isn't great, which, I don't have too high expectations despite his good game today. Yeah, I think Seattle might actually be the better track to the playoffs is through the division.
Yeah, I mean, if they get those two, they're at 9-5. I feel pretty good at that point of them making the playoffs and probably beating the Rams to end the season. Chiefs and Jets would be tough, but all of a sudden, I think there is a path here for Seattle, even if they've pulled off.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I still don't know what the ceiling. I think this is still a team that's a year away.
I think so too. I think I was higher on this team. Obviously, when they had that winning stretch, they graded out really well. The defense got hot, it seemed like at one point, but now it seems to back cooling off.
Yeah, I think I agree. Let's talk about your team. Speaking of cooling off, let's talk about the Patriots here, who, this is the Thursday night game. You called this a must win. They lost. So now they're officially down or dead. Now the Patriots season is over. You're not even going to watch them anymore.
Well, I'll watch them, but I'm not. I'm not holding out any hope. I think the schedule's too tough. I don't think this offense is good enough. And yeah, I mean, they looked worse at every single aspect of football against this team last week. Every single aspect of football, they were worse than the Bills. And I think we had decades of basically teams in our division saying, "How do we beat the Patriots?" Because that's what's going to happen to win the AFC is we got to beat the Patriots. We now have to start constructing our football team on how are we beating Buffalo and Miami? How do we construct this football team to beat Buffalo and Miami? This isn't the kind of football team that's going to beat Buffalo. Yeah.
Not the
We got to
Jets.
prove we beat the Jets. We beat them twice. Don't forget it.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, you don't need to change anything there. I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I don't know. This just it felt very like you got that for a second. I was like, oh, is something going to happen here? You had that big Marcus Jones play where it's like, okay, here we go. Maybe something can happen. This is a unique play. No, it was really just one big play, and then from that point on, the Patriots were not able to really do much of anything. And that's the concern is still on offense. Hey, maybe not a great idea to hire your friend who is not an offensive coordinator whatsoever to call offensive plays.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. They have to go outside of Belichick's coaching tree, I think, for the new offensive coordinator. There's a lot of guys in the coaching staff, I guess, that could get a shot. But I don't know if Troy Brown's ready to be an offensive coordinator. I mean, I just don't know if that's actually going to be an option. They could go back and get Bill O'Brien, but he's probably getting fired from Alabama if he doesn't get a job this offseason. So I don't know if that's a situation you want either. I mean, there's a few different options you can look at, but none. If it's in the Belichick coaching tree right now, none of those options look too great. I definitely think they need to revamp this a little bit. They need to start over. They need to add more talent. Your one offensive touchdown is a defensive back on a gimmicky play scoring. That's just not sustainable for success.
That play, the way it worked too, is it was a disguise by Buffalo where they had showed two safety deep, but then put one safety in, and so it was actually perfectly called to stop that play. But then just one of the safeties just took a bad angle, and that's what resulted in a touchdown.
Right. So I don't know. I think that this team has a long way to go. But yeah, I mean, you have to start adjusting your team to how you need to be faster. You need to be faster to beat a team like Buffalo and to beat a team like Miami. This team's not fast enough. They need to revamp this team.
I think they need receivers. I didn't think Mac Jones played poorly in this game. I really didn't. I thought that he played. I actually thought he played well in this one. It was just there was nothing there.
Yeah, I thought he was fine, but they ran into a better team.
I mean, every play, he's dropping back. Nothing's going to... He actually did a solid job of extending plays in this one, which is not something you think about Mac Jones. But when there's nothing there, there's nothing there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought he was fine in this game. I thought Ramondre was fine in this game. But all of a sudden, when you're down 24-7, you can't really, run the ball.
Right.
But yeah, the pass catchers just really aren't there. And then the defense got beat. I mean, they stopped Buffalo a little bit more than last season, but that's because they stopped Buffalo 0 times last season. So anything would have been better than that, but it still wasn't a great defensive performance in this game.
I mean, I don't know. I think you'll take this defensive performance. Again, 24 points. I get that they kind of, pumped the brakes a little bit. And, the goal changed in the second half of just trying to run out the clock and get all that. But, I mean, it's the Bills. The Bills are good, and we kind of saw the good Bills again, which, again, they've been up and down this season, barely got past the Lions, but this was a good win for them to beat the Patriots, and now they're playing a real division rival in the Jets next week.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good win for them. It seems like they kind of righted the ship a little bit from that stretch. I still don't think the offense has peaked like it did earlier in the season, but you don't want to peak right now anyways. Maybe they get this going, they figure it out, and by the end of the season, they're rolling again.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be against peaking right now.
Yeah, but I'd rather peak in the playoffs, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I would still rather you play well now than not play well now.
Fair enough. Yeah, I get it.
Okay, let's move on. 2 games left. I guess a good week. I think every game there's plenty to talk about. Let's go with the Titans-Eagles, which was a game that, there was a lot of talk heading into this game of, these are 2 interesting teams. I think Scott Hansen on the broadcast called it 2 Super Bowl hopefuls in this one, as you have the 1 seed from last year in the AFC, the Titans, versus the current 1 seed in the NFL this season in the Eagles. And the Eagles are a lot better than the Titans.
Yeah, Tennessee is not a Super Bowl hopeful. That's just what it is. I think it's a solid football team. I think they can play pretty good defense. They didn't today, but I think they can play pretty good defense, but it's not a Super Bowl hopeful team. Like, it's just going to be a pretty good playoff team that probably loses in round 1 or 2. AJ Brown revenge game was cool, though.
AJ Brown was amazing. I mean, you
Yeah.
said didn't play great defense in this game, but one of the plays I immediately jumped out in my brain was the play where he was just covered and caught the ball anyway. Like, there was just no separation and he still made a catch. I don't get how he did it. Obviously, there was the 41-yard touchdown called back, only for him to get a 41-yard touchdown on the very next play. I mean, AJ Brown. Again, you talked about Devontae Adams being worth that easily. I feel like AJ Brown's been better for the Eagles than he was at the Titans. He was really good at the Titans. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was
Yeah.
when that first round pick happened, I was like, this is a great trade for the Eagles. But he's taken even a step above that. I thought he was like sort of like an A- player. He's been an A+ player this year for the Eagles, which obviously helps when you add on Devonta Smith. I still don't know if they have an amazing third option, but they don't need it because they have other guys. Those two guys are doing so well. Jalen Hurts, totally in the MVP race. 380 yards on 39 attempts, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jalen Hurts was also amazing in this one.
He was terrific in this game, and it seemed like Tennessee wanted to take away their running game, which they did largely, but Philadelphia had no problem throwing the ball downfield and finding success. I think this gets better, too, when Goddard comes back. He's their real third option. I think he's supposed to come back before the end of the season, and that will be the big thing. But everything's working right now in Philly. Everything looks golden. I think this team's going to be really good. This team looked like the best team in football today, right?
Kyle, I think Jalen Hurts might win MVP. I think that might be the trap. What's happening here.
I wouldn't be surprised by it. I think there's 4 guys in the race. I think he's one of the 4 guys. And if they go 15-2, 16-1, and his numbers are as good as everybody else, I think there's a real case for him to win it, and he probably does win it at that point. But I think there's 4 guys that are definitely in the conversation.
So who are the 4? So it's Mahomes, it's Hurts, is Burrow's one of the guys?
Burrow's in that conversation. I think Josh Allen's still in that conversation.
Uh-huh.
I
think
Josh
so.
Allen went on a heater too, he'll still be in the top 4 firmly.
Yeah, you can't throw him out just yet. Obviously, I know you would still maybe include Tua in there, but I just feel like, I don't know. Hurts had a lot of these games at this point where the numbers are incredible. I almost just wonder if people just aren't ready for the Hurts stuff yet. It's almost like every now and then I feel like you see this happen where I don't know. This happen like award shows. I feel like it happens in like I don't know, like the Oscars, where like someone will make a great movie, but they'll just get nominated, but they won't like win the award their first year. And then the next year, like fucking not as good movie, then they'll win it.
Yeah. That happens all the time, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be in the conversation. It'll be interesting if he's up against a Mahomes and a Joe Burrow. I think Tua really needed to kind of light it up every game to end the season because he missed that time. I think he's taken a step back with this performance today, for sure. But yeah, I mean, if he's with those guys at the end of the season, it'd be interesting to see if the name brands of guys like Burrow and Mahomes vault them over Burrow. But I definitely think he could be in the conversation, definitely deserves consideration.
Yeah, we have a super chat. I appreciate that, Jacob. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, really good. I don't know. This Eagles team is just fun to watch.
At their best, definitely. And I even,
and they're usually at their best.
Yeah, they really are. This secondary is unbelievable. I thought everything they did well in this game. This is a fun football team for sure. At their best, they are a fun football team. They once again, I thought they looked like I think I've gone back and forth with sometimes they look great and sometimes it seems like they fall asleep. This was a game that looked like the best team in football.
Yeah. We'll see if they can continue that, but especially in the week NFC, they're looking very good. Yeah. Anything about the Titans? I don't know. We kind of touched on it a little bit. I don't know too much else. Like, they're a good team. They feel like a playoff team, but this should just, they ran into a buzzsaw here.
They really did. Treylon Burks continues to make a couple plays, it seems like, each game. I like a little bit of what he's doing. see how he continues to develop. That's probably going to be the key for the Titans' future, right?
Yeah, he had a big play and then got concussed right after in this one. But yeah, I mean, no, he's played well. But again, I mean, it kind of just goes to show it's like your idea was let's trade away AJ Brown and get Traylon Burks who can hopefully replace that production, and we don't have to pay for it. It's he's been good, but it's just that's too high of expectations to put on him.
Yeah. It hasn't quite worked out like Justin Jefferson's Stephon Diggs.
No, well, but again, it's just Jefferson turned into like a superstar wide receiver.
Yeah, can't expect that to happen every time.
Right. Let's move on. One last game. Two things. Lions are good, and also Kyle, your Jaguars suck.
Yep, they are back down again. Can't make sense of it. Um, I didn't think Lawrence was horrible in this game, but like he wasn't great either. Um, but it just seemed like the Lions kind of overwhelmed them, right? Like, are the Lions a buzzsaw now? Are they just an absolute wagon?
No, the Lions are good. The Lions are I mean, I'm
For
not
their
gonna.
last five. For
The
their
Lions are
last five.
good.
And they had some real chances to win that Bills game too. Like, would it be crazy if they just beat Minnesota at home next week? Are we talking Lions playoff run, baby?
Yeah, I'm already talking Lions playoff run. I think the Lions. I would much rather see the Lions in the playoffs than the Giants or the Commanders or the Seahawks for that matter. Any of the the only wildcard team I'd rather see in the playoffs than the Lions right now is the Cowboys.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean it'd be fun for the fan base and all that. So without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, if
I
they
just mean
find a way,
like they're I think they're a better team than those other teams right now.
yeah, I think so too. I think they're more fun to watch too, certainly. So yeah, I mean, if they find a way to beat the Vikings next week, I don't think it's inconceivable that this team makes a run of the playoffs. They got winnable games down the stretch. This team could definitely running the slate would be difficult, but I don't think it's inconceivable. If they beat the Vikings, they could beat the Jets on the road. They could beat the Panthers on the road. They can beat Chicago at home, and they can beat the Packers on the road. If this team's
Yes.
10-7, I'm all for it.
Yes, it was super chat. The Lions will expose the Vikings next week. We'll see. I mean, it's possible. I expect them to put up. They only lost to the Vikings by 4 last time, so totally reasonable. And again, you play the Vikings you play the Vikings and the Jets the next 2 games, but then you finish the season Panthers, Bears, Packers. So, you beat the Vikings or the Jets, and then just win the other 3. That's 9-8. That there's a chance that gets you in.
It really does. There is a chance it happens. We'll see. But they're playing good football. And I think the big thing, we've touched on it a couple times the last couple weeks, they made the defensive back coaching change. Like, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago now. And it seems like things are working a lot better. So whatever that defensive backs coach was doing, they're doing a lot better since he's been replaced. Things seem to be working a lot better back there. This defense, I think, has played pretty well in a lot of their games. Like, it's not perfect still, but it seems like they're playing good football. And if you look at their last few weeks, like the Bills scored 28 on them. Okay, the Bears ran the ball over them for 30, but they held the Packers, they held the Giants, and now they held this Jaguars team.
Yeah. Also, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a star.
Yeah, he's a stud, right?
Over 100
Even
yards in this game, pair of touchdowns. I mean, incredible stuff.
yeah, he's very good. He is one of our. He's a guy we've really liked this season. I think he's developed a whole lot. What do you think of the battle of the top 2 picks? Did you watch them a lot?
No. No. Wait.
Was Walker even out there? I can't even remember.
He was out there. I remember they showed a stat. They flashed his stats on the screen.
Oh, I was in such a daze, like I
Kind of rude
couldn't
to
even
him.
remember. I could barely remember half of these games at this point right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know for defensive linemen. Like, I don't think you can learn anything from actually just watching the game on television. I don't think that. I think nothing gets accomplished there. Like, there's no way I can unless you're just literally just watching that one guy. You have to like study a defensive lineman to really, or look at their numbers to really figure out who they are.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, okay, when TJ Watt has one of his like 3.5 sack and an interception games, okay, you can figure out he's good there. But like typically,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I thought they, it seemed like at times they both played pretty fine, but I mean, Not too much expectations there. The big story of this game is really the Lions offense.
Yeah, I mean, this Lions offense, it's good.
They didn't punt.
Yeah, they scored 40. I mean, this was I don't know, Lions team, Jameson, hey, undefeated in the Jameson Williams era.
There you go. Maybe
He was
maybe that's the solution.
It was the funniest thing where it was like, I don't know if he ever, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if I ever saw, I don't think I think he maybe got a couple snaps offensively. They said, okay, we're going to use him as a punt returner. That's going to be the main way we're going to use him this game. Just kind of ease him into it. And then they didn't punt, or not a punt returner, a gunner on the punt team. And then they didn't punt. Just incredible.
Yeah. So he definitely got eased into it this week. It was a not a very eventful game, it seems like, overall for the Jaguars, though.
Yeah. Also, Kirby Joseph is good. Give him some love. Defense, good safety they drafted.
They're playing well. They're playing well in the secondary for sure.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, that's a show. This is a fun show. Every game I thought was interesting in this one.
Very interesting game. I'm just dying because I've been sick all weekend, but we made it.
Yeah, you did great. No, never would have noticed.
I don't think that's true, but I appreciate it.
I would have noticed, but I'm not that observant.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let us know in the chat. Did you notice anything off about Kyle?
I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go Buccaneers tomorrow.
Yeah, go Buccaneers tomorrow, I guess. Who are you? Who's your new World Cup team?
I think so I have a friend who's a big Argentina guy, and then he was making fun of USA when they lost. So I'm pretty much anyone but Argentina at this point.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Argentina,
So
Netherlands by 50 tomorrow or this week, next week. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I've been a big watching the highlights after the games. I try to stay unspoiled and watch the highlights. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't have time to watch every day to watch 2 full soccer games, Kyle. I'm sorry.
There's been some fun games though.
There have, and the highlights are also fun.
Yeah, fair enough. So
yeah, no. But fun stuff. It was a fun ride for USA, right? I mean, I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, I'm so disappointed because I just got into soccer. I'm not gonna, I feel bad for the diehard fans, but it was a fun ride, right?
Yeah, this group was always kind of positioned for 2026 anyway. A lot of these guys are on this team. I mean, virtually all but the center backs probably are going to be back starting for this team next season or in 2026, barring health. So get a striker, figure out that center back option. A lot of young guys coming up that are talented. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. And hey, soccer, this is why having playoffs is better. Look at how exciting this is.
Oh boy, here we go.
I'm just saying, I would get into soccer if they did playoffs. Why did they do not do playoffs? It's an entertainment. It's a piece of entertainment.
The lower level leagues do playoffs.
Well, then maybe I'll get into those.
For promotion. MLS does playoffs.
Yeah, there you go. But no one good plays in the MLS.
There's a couple. There's like 45 guys in the World Cup from the MLS.
Well, I don't know anything about soccer. I'm just saying things.
Oh well, there you go.
It's not like one of the big ones. This is the thing that confuses me about soccer.
It is not comparable to like the best 6 or 7 leagues in the world. Yes.
Well, that's what always confused me about soccer. It's like the best 6 or 7 leagues. Like like most sports have like one league. Like like baseball. Okay, there's other leagues, but like the MLB is like that's the league everyone tries. Like that's considered like the best league. Like and then soccer is like every country has their own league.
Because it's a global game. What do you want them to do? Congregate to one league? They tried
that.
Yeah,
have one main league.
They tried that. Everyone revolted because it was going to bankrupt all the smaller teams.
That's fine.
No, it's not.
It's fine for me.
Yeah.
It affects me. Jackson, it doesn't affect me.
Any European fans out there know Jackson is pro Super League, pro destroying all of your community teams. That's what he wants.
I'm not saying that that's what should happen. I'm just saying that's why I would get into soccer if it did.
Well, they have the Champions League. It's a big tournament, similar to the World Cup.
Okay, and people care about that.
Yeah, top 4 teams from each. Top 4 teams from each of the big leagues qualify, basically. Top 3 or 4.
Okay, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, so you can get into that.
Okay. Well, yeah, sure. I'll get. When is that?
It's going on now, but they'll pick it up back after the World Cup. They're in the final 16. So
Okay.
they started with 32. They broke it into the 16-team bracket. There's a bunch of teams left.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I also like Anthony says offsides is stupid. Yeah, Kyle, I also have to say, I don't mind offsides, but like once you're near net, just get rid of offsides. The fact that like, you can pass the ball 1 foot away from to someone else and then it's offsides, like that's stupid.
Trying to make it a fair game, man. I don't know. No cherry picking in this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the hockey offsides better.
I do too, honestly. I think it's so stupid that the midline, if you're behind midline, the middle line, halfway line for the soccer field, offside is negated. You could be the last man, but you're behind the midfield line. But as soon as you go 2 feet past that midfield line, if there's not a defender between you and the goal, all of a sudden you're offside. I think it's a bizarre rule. I think they need 18-yard box line should be the offside line or something like that. They need to adjust this. I don't like it.
Yeah, but they never will, right? That's not something that'll never happen. But part of my issue too is like my brother says this, where he's like, every time he tries to fix soccer, he just ends up creating hockey. I feel like that's kind of the issue.
Yeah, that's the one I would change. I mean, it took them like 40 years to change goal line technology, so it's never going to happen. So it's it's never going to happen. But that's it's a bizarre rule because it doesn't make sense that you could basically stand at midfield, not be called for offside, but you can't stand in front of goal when your team has the ball 3 yards behind you, and that's offside. It's a weird rule.
Yeah, luckily we watched the NFL where there are no weird rules whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing controversial there.
Nothing like if you lose the ball at the 1-inch line, then you still get the ball, but if you lose it in the end zone, then the other team gets the ball at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was just getting into football, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got off the rails here at the end, as we always do. Thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it. If you like audio only podcast, On the Sideline Podcast is the name of this podcast. Search that anywhere you get your podcast. It should be available. So definitely check that out. Kyle, where can they find us on Twitter?
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Ronan. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That's at On the Sideline JK.
Neo says soccer doesn't have a tuck rule. Should it have a tuck rule, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we don't need to elaborate on that. I think that's fine. Thank you to everybody again. We do appreciate it. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.